Hey gays, let's celebrate Pride 2024. Ooh.
Ooh,
You know, if there is any song that should be played in the club, it should be ours.
absolutely.
Honestly.
It's
Hello,
good. It's good
everyone.
intro.
Happy Pride. We're back again. It's good to see all of you. I know we're this show is happening at a slightly altered time than what we normally do. We had to do a little bit of schedule readjusting because of an event that I had to go to tonight. So, but we're here, we're queer, and we're ready to go.
Late night for your pleasure.
I love it. So, Ari, how have you been and what have you been up to?
I have been adjusting to my new schedule very well. We
Oh,
were talking in the back room, and you're like, Ari, why do you sound like Jennifer Coolidge? And I'm like, I'm just real chill right now. I feel real chill. I'm kind of just like, I'm
wow.
kind of just like doing my own thing. I'm just kind of like really
Feeling
zen and just like
chill.
free floating and just like, I'm kind of just like going about my business and just like enjoying life and just like blissing out and just experiencing life as it comes and writing and working on my schoolwork and just enjoying the summer, going for walks and stuff. I found some non-dairy ice cream sundae cones, like the little cones at the grocery store, and
Ooh,
I was eating those and I was enjoying those.
that sounds delicious. I do love some non-dairy options. I love that you said blissing out. I'm gonna like adopt that. Like just blissing out tonight. Just blissing.
Just blissing out, yeah.
Just chilling and blissing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. This week has been so busy for me.
Really?
Well, last weekend, Britt and I went to a couple of Pride events with some friends. We went to Kalamazoo Pride on Saturday, and then we went to Motor City Pride on Sunday. So much driving. I don't know if I'll ever repeat that again because on Monday I was dead.
You always say that and then you repeat it. You
I
always
do.
go
I don't know
drive.
why I do that. I kind of I had this conversation with myself where I was like, Donnie, I really need to do some social recovery. But then like I say that and then I'm like, oh, but here we are at this thing. Ooh. And then after the fact I'm like, I'm dying again. I guess that's the pain of being an ambivert, right? Like you're on this cusp of like introversion and extroversion at all times. And then Tuesday night I had a poetry reading, which was really cool. Um, I had a poetry reading at a local coffee shop called Lolo Bees, and a lot of people actually came, which surprised me.
No, I was really sad I missed it. It looks like a lot of fun.
Well, I recorded it, so you'll be able to watch
Did you?
it.
I really want to. I'm
Ooh.
hoping to see it because it looks like a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was super gay. There was a lot of gay things.
That's the best kind of time. Is a gay old time.
Right. But I won't lie, obviously like looking forward to this all week has been kind of getting me through the week because this is kind of like that little space of social recovery time where I can actually be interactive and spend time with you and be like, okay, relaxing. We are being performative, but it's not like soul crushing performative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just us doing our thing.
It's just us vibing. It's us
Yeah,
blissing.
listen
We're
out.
just blissing it up.
Gay sparkle time.
Gay sparkle,
By the way,
fabulous
I
gay
love your
sparkle time.
glasses. We talked about this in the back room, but I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I'm at a rave right now. Ooh,
Ooh.
I'm
Did you get
flashing,
those?
y'all.
Did you get those at a club at Pride?
I did. So Kalamazoo Pride. There is a gay club in Kalamazoo called Club Vortex. So at like sometimes when we go down there, because we have a friend who lives down there, sometimes when we go down there afterward, we will go to the club and just to enjoy some dancing and some drinks. And they had, to celebrate like Kalamazoo Pride, they had like a bunch of these. They had purple ones too. Honestly, I should have gotten purple ones. They would match my nails.
Nice.
But they had purple ones. They had like cat ears that like lit up and other like lightable things, you know? And I
Yeah.
was like, I want the glasses because they make me feel very like 2008 Gaga.
Yeah. Very, very 2010 Kanye type stuff.
Right.
I love it.
I love that my first thought was Gaga and yours was Kanye.
Um,
But both fittingly so.
only because I've been listening to a lot of rap music lately.
Love it. I love that
Yeah.
though. So beyond that though, I think the latter part of this week I'm gonna kind of just like chillax a little bit, you know. Um and just maybe do some gardening and kind of like reorient myself just a little
How many
bit.
tomato plants do you have left?
Oh, we still have like 20 some left.
Nice.
And I need to figure out what to do with them. Like, I would feel bad if I had to throw them away. So I think I might reach out to a few people and be like, hey, do you want any tomato
I
plants?
would
Like,
look for the community gardens and see if there's like a community garden you can give them to.
there is a community garden not too far from here. So I might stop by and see if they need anything. So,
Yeah.
you know, this is kind of a tangent, but I wish that we had more of that. Don't you wish we had like more communal, like, gardening, like cityscape gardening? Like,
Absolutely. Like green spaces.
green spaces. We could do a whole episode on that, I think, in the future. Like, how can we turn our future into this solar punk utopia? Like,
I want this. I want a solar punk future.
me
Wind and
too.
solar power.
Solar punk Star Trek future.
Absolutely.
So, current event snapshot. What do we
So
have
I
going
was
on?
perusing AP News and I found some interesting news articles. There was a Russian military exercise in the Atlantic, and so all of a sudden we have U.S. nuclear subs heading into Cuba because they're kind of like strategically placing themselves because of this Russian military exercise, and it kind of feels very Bay of Pigish.
Oh.
Like with all this stuff going on, it's very
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I don't even I'm paying attention to it, but I don't want to pay attention to it. But it's making me very nervous right now because it's an exercise. But with all the stuff that's going on in Ukraine, it's like what's going on? Because they're like near Guantanamo Bay, and it's like I
It's
don't even
like,
want to know. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know.
yeah.
Then there was some flooding in South Florida that was leaving drivers stranded in their cars because there was so much flooding.
Oh my goodness, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's just been a lot of rain lately, isn't there? Just in general,
Yeah.
like nationwide.
Yeah, I feel like we've been getting a lot of rain here as well. Mr. Mecha G is here. Hello. It's good to see you. Oops. Arby commented earlier that they might miss this episode. Oh, we'll definitely come back and rewatch it when you can. But no, like I do think that the weather's been kind of wild. I heard that there's been like some huge heat waves out west as well. Um, because I know I have some friends who live out west and they've been like commenting about like it seems awfully hot so early in the season, you know. So when we really were just talking about out west, because weren't they having those super blooms and stuff not long ago because of all the
Yeah.
rain that they were getting? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. Oh, do you want me to go on a geology tangent for a second?
Yes, let's do it.
So y'all know that I am obsessed with Iceland and geology.
With the volcanoes, right? What's going on with the
Yeah.
volcanoes?
Well, that volcano that's outside of like basically right under slash outside of that little town called Grindavik has erupted for like the seventh time, I think,
Oh
in
my
the
goodness.
past like in just in the past few months, which is a lot.
Yeah,
And it's like kind of getting worse each and every time it does it.
yeah.
Like, and it goes longer for each and every, so they're trying to decide like, is this town worth saving, like is it, because they have like they build up these big earth walls around the town to try to protect its resources.
Wow.
and it's been working. So that's kind of cool. Like, they have been diverting lava flows. Like,
That's
I mean,
intense.
when you think about like that level of achievement when it comes to like infrastructure, that's kind of a really cool thing, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. Like that, just the fact that they're like doing all of these like solutions to problems.
Yeah. Manilazilla's here. Hello. And thank you. I'm glad that you like the glasses. Ari and I, for Pride Month, we always like to get dressed up just a little bit. And I'm
Yeah,
sure it's going to continue getting even more zany as the month goes along.
we're like artsy fartsy clubbing today.
I know, like we're club kids today. But beyond that, I don't really think there's any other extensive current event things that I've been exposed to.
This. Oh, I also mentioned that the Supreme Court, they have so many cases to decide on, and they're running out of time. Running out of time.
Oh
They
no.
keep stalling. They keep stalling.
Interesting. I wonder, do you think that's deliberate or
I think it is. I think that they're not going to get to all the cases that they're supposed to be working on.
right? Brian's here. Hello, Brian. It's good to
Hello,
see
Brian.
you. I hope that you've been doing well. So, are we ready for the mission statement? I believe it's my turn today, isn't it?
Let's do it.
We live in a dynamic society where social media shapes us by creating greater opportunities for connection. It is, ow, ow. Oh, that hurt the bridge of my
Are
nose.
you okay?
Yes, it just slammed on the bridge of my nose. Anyway, let
Oh
me
my
restart that.
goodness.
We live in a dynamic society where social media shapes us by creating greater opportunities for connection. It has led to a developing understanding of the adversity many marginalized communities face, the powers causing the adversity, and those who act as bystanders as atrocities take place in real time. Our goal with this show is to make connections and have challenging conversations about how social topics, current events, pop culture, and art um, about social events, social topic. Wow, I am really messing up the mission statement tonight. About social topics, current events, pop culture, and art. Together, let's weave the threads of understanding with what privilege we have in order to learn, educate, and create in a world that's growing. Somebody, please catch me while I fall. Catch me while I careen into infinity right now.
You're just feeling effervescent.
It's because we're blissing.
We're blissing.
This is blissful reading. That's what it is.
You're feeling spicy.
I'm always feeling spicy. Well, I'm particularly so tonight. Manilazilla asks, did you get Godzilla X Kong on Blu-ray? No, I have not, but that is on my to-do list, and I also want to get it digitally, but I have not done so yet. Ari, have you Yeah, you watched it, didn't you?
I did not.
You did not? Oh,
I
I cannot
skipped
wait for
it.
you.
I was not excited about it. I was meaning to watch it on Max, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
It's so, I mean, I think Godzilla Minus One set the high bar, but like it's really, really good. And
I
then
don't really like Kong as much as the Kong Thor lore stuff,
me
as much as
neither.
I like just straight Godzilla stuff. So I was just like, yeah, I guess I could go see it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
mm,
I only saw it because of certain characters that I love that may have appeared in it. Um,
no.
Brian asks, how have you guys been doing? Well, I've been doing well, a little bit, frazzled, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I'm managing. Ari, how have you been?
See, Donnie's like spicy, and we're like sweet and sour tonight. So spicy and sweet.
You're very placid tonight.
I'm
You're
like,
like,
what's her name? Moira on Schitt's Creek.
David.
David.
You're very Moira Rose tonight, and I'm very Jennifer Coolidge. Oh, wow. That was
Oh
bad.
wow.
Oh, wow. Wow. That, I sounded like the Kool-Aid man when I said that.
You did it.
Anyway,
You did it. You worked.
I need to rein it in.
I
I need
love
to
it.
rein it in. Manila Zilla says, I'm a huge Godzilla fan, but I did not like Minus One. fun. Okay. Well, you know, everybody has preferences, right? And that's the nice thing about the Godzilla franchise is that it's so big is that everybody can take what they want away from it. Brian says, I'm doing all right. My channel is finally getting some traction and I'm up to 573 subscribers. Congratulations. That's
Nice.
exciting. So,
Congratulations. I appreciate that.
Ari, how has Pride been going for you? Has there been any news about events?
I do not have any gossip. I've been watching some people who've been going to Pride, but I'm dry on gossip. I don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
but
mean,
you saw the
oh,
wit.
my friends. So we went to Motor City Pride, and there was a parade. So like we went on Sunday because Sunday is when the parade is, right? So we got to see like these wonderful floats, a lot of like drag artists, etc. And I was we like it was my fiance, myself, and a friend. We were all like standing there, and we started hearing people screaming, you know, like a little ways down the line, right? And we were like, why are people screaming? What's going on? And suddenly, Governor Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, like tots up to us and gives us all a high five. My one friend asked her for a hug and she gave her a hug. I don't know why I didn't ask for a hug. I should have done that. Um, but like I was like peeing my pants. I was just like, I did not expect to meet the governor of Michigan, who is very LGBTQ plus affirming, by the way. Um, and I was just like mind blown. I also got to see the Attorney General of Michigan too.
That's really cool.
I, I
That
there
kind of reminds
were
me of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No, you go first.
Well, I was gonna say there were also drag artists. There was one from RuPaul's Drag Race that was there, and then there was also one from Dragula there too. There was a drag king. How rare is it to have drag king representation at Pride?
That's amazing.
It was great. Anyway, what were you about to say?
I said that kind of reminds me when I first moved to Seattle. I met the mayor of Seattle, and because I was working as a temp, and it was kind of
Mhm.
like it's really exciting when you meet like public officials like that, and you just kind of like start struck. You're like, oh, so cool.
It is like it is very star striking. Like
Yeah,
I mean, I know she had gone to like the Motor City Prides in the past, but like I didn't think that she did that every year. Like maybe it was special last year. But she was there, like, and she was celebrating with us. It was really cool, you know.
yeah,
I love moments like that. But I will say, like, the Pride is always fun. It's always just genuinely nice to see some drag performers, especially. It's just really cool to see like the longevity of the art form, how people interpret it, how they make it, you know, their own unique thing. Drag is also very political. Drag, I think, kind of like the art forms we do, like poetry, like drag creates social commentary while, you know, being artistic. And I think that that's what makes it so dynamic and one reason why I love drag so much. You know, it's really funny talking about drag. There was a point in my life where I was very uncomfortable with drag.
really,
Yeah, like I remember when I was in college, I mean this was around the time that I came out and I had a lot of internalized misogyny.
yeah.
And I remember like drag made me so uncomfortable because it was feminizing.
Oh,
And I believed that my only currency in order to connect with other gay men was to be more masculine. So like I often would kind of like I would be very dismissive of drag, and if I could go back in time and tell myself like, "Hey, Donnie, not cool. Like drag is valid, drag is beautiful. Like don't let your internalized misogyny get the best of you." I totally would do that.
oh, that's really interesting because my first like interactions with the gay community were through drag. Like I knew a lot of
Really?
drag queens, and they were like baby drag queens, but they were just like in the community. But I would like hang out with them at this like because they all communally shared a house in my hometown, and I would just like hang out with them when they were getting ready for the show and stuff. and like I knew all about like how they stuffed like nylons padding to like make boobs and stuff, and like how they
Mm-hmm.
would like tape their chests down and stuff, and like tape their nipples down and stuff, and like how they would make butts and things like that. You know, how they make their butts more butt like, like
Mm-hmm.
how they would make their butts pop and stuff. And it was really fascinating how they would use padding and stuff like that.
It
Um,
is.
so it was really interesting to watch them like become women or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was yeah, that was like my first. They had some of the best wigs I've ever seen too. Like you see like wigs today, and like some of them are really good, but like some of the first wigs I ever saw, they really took care of their wigs, and that they were
Mm-hmm.
really like they were some of the best wigs I ever saw.
No,
Like I
some of them
went,
are so stunning, and it makes me jealous. It's like it's so well, you know, like they probably spend so much money on them too. Because if you want high quality wigs, like they're really pricey. I just want to check out the comments really quick because I see we got some comments coming in. Manilazilla says regarding Godzilla, there's just something about the new era I don't like. The last really good Japanese Godzilla movie was Godzilla Final Wars. I mean, totally respect your opinion. I loved Godzilla Minus One and Shin Godzilla, but I can understand why some people didn't super like them so much because I think it really does connect back to Godzilla's darker roots.
mhm.
Brian had to leave. Thank you, Brian, for coming in. We really appreciate you. Manilazilla asks, Donnie, will you ever shave your face completely again? Oh yeah, I do every once in a while. Uh, this month I might do it if I decide to dress up in drag for an episode. We'll see what
So,
happens.
sometimes you do for Halloween when you dress drag.
I do. Maybe our gal Sangria Noir will make a return.
I love sangria noir.
Manila Silla says I can't stand hair in my face, so I shave every day. I I mean, I feel more attractive with facial hair than without facial hair because I look like I'm 12 when I don't have facial hair. Um, so it's kind of like a way to like, I mean, first world problem, like, oh, it makes me look more my age. When I'm 60, hopefully that'll really benefit me. Manila Silla says, please dress in drag. There's an episode earlier this season. Was it this season? When I dressed in drag. I
I
think there
think
was an
it. I
episode.
think it was last season
Well, regardless, there's been a few episodes where Ari and I have really dragged out, right?
because I don't think we've done drag this season yet. But maybe you did. I don't
Manila
remember.
Zilla, Manila Zilla wants me to be a Mothra fairy. I would love to dress up as one of Mothra's priestesses.
Absolutely.
Ari and I, we could dress up as Mothra's priestesses and sing the Mothra song live.
I will buy that costume. I will do that. We'll coordinate.
We'll make it happen.
Do you want to do that for Halloween?
We could do that for Halloween. I
Okay.
love that.
Deal.
So, so one thing that I want, so this is Fabulous Gay Sparkle Time Night. So like basically it's a Pride night, but we are talking about a variety of different topics as they apply to Pride Month, the LGBTQ plus community, and I think we strive to do this every year, mostly because this month it's important to kind of set aside space. Because I mean, being that both Ari and I are part of the community, like having this platform and this space allows us to reflect on these different things, you know.
Mhm.
One thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight was queer baiting, and we've had actually entire episodes dedicated to it. But I had a person get in a debate with me the other day, and they kind of upset me because they were really upset over actors who are LGBTQ plus playing queer characters but not being out in real life, and they were saying that that was also queer baiting. And I think that's a very slippery slope to be on. I don't know about you. What do you think?
So like to the person to people who are like they think that they're straight because they're not out of the closet yet.
Yes.
And so they're
So
saying
they
that
think that they're queer
so
baiting by
everybody thinks that they're
default.
straight.
Yeah.
or they think that they're not they're cis or whatever.
Mm. Yeah.
They're something that they're not, but they're
Yeah.
playing a character that is um I don't necessarily think that that's queer baiting.
I don't think
I
so
think it
either.
is definitely problematic and the optics of it, in the sense that uh, people might not understand.
Yeah. Well, so the parallel that I drew to it. So you've probably heard of that show Heartstopper, right? That show that was like adapted from like a I think it's a graphic novel, but it's like a lot. It's very LGBTQ plus focused. There was an actor who played one of the LGBTQ plus characters in it, and people were accusing this actor of queer baiting because that people thought he was straight, and then
Hmm.
they essentially forced him because he is bisexual, but they
Oh,
essentially forced him to come out as a means to
just
counteract their
that
accusations of
as
queer
a
baiting.
character.
What was that?
Oh man, that's rough. I said that's rough.
Yeah. So like, and I was just like, I mean, told the person, I was like, I don't think we can really dictate to people when they should come out. I like that. Like doing that, I think can be extremely destructive toward the individuals, because
Yeah.
you don't know if a person is in a safe space where they can come out.
So does that
Whether
mean that we should allow straight people to play gay actors and gay
right,
people to play straight actors?
right, like that. So it opens it up to so many other questions, right? Like I remember being very uncomfortable at one point in time with straight actors playing gay characters, but then I got past that because I was like,
Neil
I
Patrick
don't think.
Harris plays straight people all the time.
Absolutely. I was just like, as long as they understand like the gravity of the representation, like I think that, whoever wants to play these roles are like they should be able to do so, right?
Right.
I just think that there are instances in the LGBTQ plus community where we often just very much gatekeep, right? Like we gatekeep people. And I don't think that I don't think that we should do that because we're just creating more partitions.
I think the I think the problem with having straight actors play gay characters is that there are a lot of gay actors who need that representation in Hollywood
Hmm.
because they are of a certain type and kind of understand the roles better than say a straight actor might not be able to understand like the gravity of what it means to play a certain role. So I think that that's why it's easier for a gay character to play a straight character rather than a straight character to play a gay character.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's just a thought. Is that like it's kind of one of those things. It's sort of like how it's a representation issue. Is that like it's there's this majority that it always kind of goes to, and it's playing to that big crowd.
Hmm.
And it's they always kind of always get those roles, and it's always playing to that majority. And so
Hmm.
having people who are gay actors getting roles that they normally wouldn't necessarily be able to get, um, and getting that representation, I think is kind of important, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so
But it's
too.
not unheard of that you could have a straight actor playing a gay role. It's just, you
Right.
know, it's kind of just like fish in a barrel that they.
Well, going back and answering that concern the person expressed, like I do not think that's queer baiting at all. Like queer baiting is when media is willfully suggesting that there is some sort of, you know, queer coded thing happening, but then
Yeah.
they withhold it or they pretend that it doesn't exist and they do it at the expense of views or our community in general. Like that's completely different,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a media literacy problem. I think they're getting their vocabulary wrong. and that
Mm-hmm.
really what it is that that's not anything to do with it.
Right. I agree completely. Manila had to go. Thank you for joining us tonight. It was great to have you here. And Mr. Mekaji says, I am asexual. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. That's another area of the LGBTQ plus community that I think deserves more representation in media too, honestly, because, I mean, like, I feel like we focus on, very specific segments and we don't see that full breadth of representation. So, um, well, I guess I mean if we moving forward from representation to talking about queer spaces, so and this could be a whole nother episode in and of itself as well, but uh I saw there was some like conversation happening on social media recently about straight women going to gay bars and being upset over the way that they were treated, right? And it and then I saw a few people upset, visibly upset over like there are certain bars that people are not allowed to go into, um, because it's very much designed for like a specific demographic. And well, like
And even you were like, Ari, you should come with me to the gay bar. And I was like, I don't know if I would fit in. Like, if because
um,
it's a totally different experience when you're a femme going to a gay bar than it is for a guy going to
yeah,
a gay bar. That like sometimes it's just a totally different atmosphere that like you just it's I mean it's fun. It's still fun, but it's just a different atmosphere when you go to a gay club when you're a
mm-hmm,
guy as opposed to being a woman.
yeah,
That unless it's like there are lesbians around, which sometimes there are, but usually if it's like a male gay club, like or there's like a lot of guys around, you're just like kind of just like standing there going, well, I guess I'm just gonna hang out
well,
here and
and
like
and the
get kind of
truth
ditched after a while.
is,
I think there was a
yeah,
video like it kind of was like after dark, you just kind of get like shoved aside, like go home.
I really do think it depends on the space, but you're right though, like, and I think the fact that like anyone would feel uncertain about going into a space like that, I think speaks loudly to the way we keep that space, right? Like I think that gay men very much do have some things to work on when it comes to um being exclusionary of various groups of people. Like we see this not only like with, allowing women into spaces, but also I think other side like the trans community, the non-binary communities. Also I would say like gay men very much fixate on like body image. So like there are certain spaces where like people of different, body types are visibly either discriminated against or they are kind of invalidated or excluded. And I think that's wrong. Like, I don't think anyone should be made to feel that way.
Well, then you get
Now,
like these wholesome stories of like uh, a femboy is dancing with a soft butch woman, and then they go, "What's your name?" And then they go, "What's your name?" And then they like start hitting on each other, and then they realize that they just had like a semi-heterosexual experience, and they're like, "Oh my god, I thought you were a guy. I thought you were a lady," and then they like freak out, and like they become best friends, but like
did you say that's a story idea?
no, like that actually happened. Like I saw a TikTok
Oh,
about that.
I think it seems vaguely familiar to me. I actually love that. Let's see. Arpy, you are here. Arpy says I am asexual and panromantic. Um, thank you all for being vulnerable and sharing tonight. Mr. Mekaji says I've never been in a relationship. Well, I mean, I think there's plenty of opportunity in the future for things, right? Arby says neither have I, and Arby loves her outfits. Yay!
Yay.
Ari and I don't mess around when it comes to outfits, right?
Not during Pride Month.
Ooh, interesting. Mr. Mekaji asks, how many relationships have we had? I hope this isn't too personal. I mean, we are very transparent. I mean, Ari, you can answer that question if you feel comfortable answering it, but
I mean, like how many full-blown relationships, like monogamous partners have I had. I would say one, two, three serious relationships, I think I would say.
Um,
The ones that lasted more than a year, it was three.
yeah.
Oh
I
no,
think
four if you count Scott. Scott
I've
was
been
my
in
first one.
I've been in 7 thereabouts. It could be like 5 to 7, depending on like the degree of seriousness. A couple of them were like less than a year, but like we
Oh,
were particularly
I
serious.
suppose five if you count Torsten, the German guy.
I forgot about the German guy.
Because I visited him in Germany. I count Torsten too.
Mr. Mekaji asks, are you a virgin? I mean, at this point, no. I'm gonna be completely blunt. No.
Happy Pride!
Happy Pride, woo!
That's okay if you are a virgin
Yeah,
because
there's nothing wrong with that.
sexuality is expressing your sexuality. And if you are, that's okay. And if you aren't, that's okay.
Absolutely. I know there's a lot of societal shame, like, surrounding both. Like there are people who, are just more active, right? And they get shamed for it. There are people who are still virgins and they get shamed for it. Again, I think we just, as a society, need to set aside all of the um gatekeeping, all of the partitioning, because like human sexuality is so diverse and so fluid and is very much a spectrum, and I don't think that, you know, one should be shamed for either thing. Does that make sense?
You're allowed to express your sexuality however you want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about current events and things that have been going on. Um, so there are some very sobering statistics that need to be shared. Ari, do you want to share some
Yeah,
sobering
because
statistics?
I'm non-binary, and so I like to look up statistics every so often about violence in the trans community because it's so important. So 320 trans and gender diverse people were reported to be murdered between October 1st, 2022 and September 30th, 2023. So in this last like a year and a half. So I was wondering like what sorts of things like do you think that we could do as a community to help reduce the amount of violence that we're experiencing within the community, because it doesn't sound like that's a big number, but actually that's like a really big number it's like a huge chunk of the trans community, especially if that's just like 1 year's worth.
Right. Absolutely. I like at the end of the day, I think that so much anti-LGBTQ plus violence, especially against the trans and non-binary communities, like I think that violence is almost always perpetuated by fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have grown up being taught that that anybody else other than them, other than their realm of experience, that they are this dangerous other, and that is simply not the case. And then of course add on to that like a lot of the religious rhetoric that we see against the LGBTQ plus community, that like that intergenerational, fear mongering and the religious rhetoric. I think all of that really exasperates safety. And then when we have politicians talking about like, you know LGBTQ plus people in bathrooms and sports and all of that jazz, like that really continues to just add to the fire.
Well, when I think about
Now,
that statistic, I think about that one non-binary student that got bullied and then
next
they later
Benedict.
died and they ruled it a suicide.
Mm-hmm. Next Benedict.
Um,
Yeah.
and I can't help think about that number.
Right.
Just the amount of
Yeah. Like it's very unsettling. Now,
yeah.
what I think will fix it, I mean, I think it's going to need to be a multi-pronged approach. I think education is a big thing. I mean, when
Yeah.
we see education being devalued, we see people's ability to think critically, people's exposure to diverse populations, like that complicates it. And I think having greater knowledge about critical thinking skills, like that will help people be able to like listen to this religious rhetoric or this, generational, fear mongering and hate and be like, okay, that's not accurate. That is not how the world actually is.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that will undo so much of the fear. Mr.
I also
Mekaji
think like,
asks,
oh,
oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
No,
No,
you
you
go
go
first.
ahead. I was gonna say, Mr. Mekaji asks, have you ever been attracted to women? No, no, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been attracted to dudes. Yep,
Very gay.
super gay.
I think I looked at him
Like,
once in college and I said, Donnie, you're very gay.
yeah, there was a video that we did, remember? You were like, I remember you felt so bad about that video for so long. And I was like, Ari, like, I was super gay, so you weren't saying anything that was
I think
inaccurate.
it's just because you felt bad about being gay sometimes. And I was just like, I had to remind you, like, Donnie, you are very gay.
Well, and you reminding me of that actually helped me in college because it helped me accept myself
Yeah.
because you saw me for the person that I actually was, right?
Right.
Beyond the facade that I was trying to create. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I think it's going to take a lot of work and vigilance to work toward undoing all of this anti-LGBTQ plus violence. And I think education is one of the most important aspects. And I think holding bigots accountable, like that's another
Yeah,
major
community
thing.
action is definitely like communities coming together and saying like this behavior is not acceptable.
Yeah, absolutely. Look up in the sky, it's super gay. Literally me.
Do you get a cape? Like do you get a cape with like a little emblem that's like got a rainbow on it or something? Like a rainbow heart?
I would love that. I would love it. But I think that I would say that right now my biggest concern, aside from the violence, is the fact that because hate has been so emboldened over the past few years that people now willfully say very anti-LGBTQ plus things. So I shared a meme today actually on social media that said, if you're ever curious as to why Pride is so important, look at the comment section underneath Pride Festival posts on social media, so on and so forth. Because you'll see a lot of very bigoted comments that like people are just shamelessly throwing very anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric out there. That if there were more accountability and if accountability were actually valued like it used to be, then I think that people would not do that. Mr. Mecca G asks, do you have kids? No, I have cats and plants. I have dirt babies.
Hello, Daniel.
Hello, welcome. It's good to see you. We're getting a lot of new people on tonight. Oh my goodness. Welcome to our own little zany corner of the world. We have cookies and
I blame our
sparkles.
sugar and spice attitude.
So let's talk about, well, I think another thing that can help combat a lot of like anti-LGBTQ plus violence is by supporting um LGBTQ plus charities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
So I support in March Mercury Stardust. Do you know who Mercury Stardust is
I
from TikTok?
do,
She does
yes.
the handy like you're worth the time it takes to learn a new skill person on TikTok. And she
Mm-hmm.
does the little thing with the where she kicks the thing and she picks it up. Um, House person. She has a
Yep.
book out. She does a TikTok marathon in March. About trans healthcare. She does with oh god, what is it? It's Point of Pride. She does that with Point of
Oh.
Pride, and she raises money for trans healthcare. And I always donate to that fund. I also like to donate to the Trevor Project whenever I can, usually during
Mm,
Pride Month at least. Um,
absolutely.
so if you
Both are
can,
very important.
if you can donate to the Trevor Project, I highly suggest you do this
I've
month.
used the Trevor Project's resources before, back when I had very vulnerable moments. It's so important. I just want to catch up on the comments really quick. I apologize, Mr. Mekaji. I must have misread your comment earlier because I have these glasses on. You said, "Do you like kids?" Not, "Do you have kids?" I do like kids. I mean, I think they're great. Like, do I necessarily want them at this particular moment in my life? Not, no, But I have my moments, where the biological clock is like, "Donnie, what are you doing?" Um, Daniel says, "I was religious. I was religious. I support you. You spread more love than religion. Hence, I left religion."
Ah.
Yes, thank you. I don't. Oh, okay. Mr. Mekaji does not like kids at all. That's fair. Everybody has their preferences, right? An LGBTQ plus organization that I support and am a part of is PFLAG, which it stands for uh, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It's an LGBTQ plus organization that, supports families and promotes education, support, and advocacy. And I got connected with PFLAG about a year ago, a little over a year ago now, through I teach for a living, so I got connected through that. And it's been a very interesting, it's a very enriching experience because, like, it's very much a grassroots organization designed to like help LGBTQ plus people and just provide a space. And I think that when you're able to support those local communities and those local institutions, you're allowing that local LGBTQ plus population to flourish more. So if you're ever curious about donating, like even like on a smaller, more communal, like community scale, look for like maybe local PFLAG chapters. Look for local pride organizations, because there's many local pride organizations that do a lot of event planning and have volunteer work, donation drives. Like, don't be afraid to check those out.
Yeah, I
Uh,
really like P Flag's library stuff they do.
yes, our chapter just opened an LGBTQ plus resource library, and we have like 300 and some books already. So some pretty cool stuff. Daniel says LGBTQ plus is the real religion of love. That's
Aw,
very poignant.
I
I
like
like
that.
that. Yeah. Why is it important to highlight these charities? Well, obviously, I think it should be, and the question notes, especially this time of year. I think this time of the year, like people are always being like, well, "Why don't we get a straight pride?" Brr. Well, so long as there's anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric, I think pride is always going to be significant because it's basically, and it's essentially an act of protest to remind people that we do exist and that we deserve to exist, right? And that our history matters. A whole variety of other things too.
Yeah, I really like donating to these charities because, again, Pride is about activism. Pride is about showcasing all of the parts of what it means to be LGBTQ plus, but it's about community action during this month. That we get together, we organize, and we do things in accordance to making the community better. And so part of that is donating to charities. It's learning about our history. It's signing petitions and doing legal action towards
Mm-hmm.
making being gay easier, because it's so hard in our community to be gay, because people are actively trying to make it harder to be gay in the community. And so
Yeah,
this is what pride is that it's talking about, this is why it's good to be gay, and this is why we're happy that we are and that
yeah,
we exist, is because people are trying to actively make it hard against us. And that's why we celebrate that, is because we are trying to celebrate the fact that we are working towards making it easier in the world.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that like it's all like there is just this drive to minimize, you know, our voices and our community. Like so I know like one reason I also support PFLAG specifically is because we do a lot of like community educating. So like we are the group that people will go to do trainings for like institutions. They like we do like pronoun like proper pronoun trainings and like pronoun usage trainings, that's what I'm trying to say. And like ways in the workplace where you can be more inclusive, things like that, like those types of things. Like yeah, it's important to create a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community as well, but it's also important to work toward educating potential allies too, because they may not know what resources that they can access in order to help the LGBTQ plus community. Some question or some comments here. Mr. Mecca G says, I had a friend in high school who was bisexual. He was really nice and reminds me of you, Donnie. I haven't talked to him since I graduated in 2016. Sounds like a good person. And Daniel says, please support Muslim LGBTQ plus people. We need Muslim Gay Pride Parade. Yes, absolutely. I think every segment of the LGBTQ plus community should be represented and supported. Ooh. I'm like, I'm so used to wearing these now that it's like lines across my vision. Ari, you seem very relaxed right now.
I do.
How are you feeling?
I just looked at Daniel's comment.
Why can't there be Muslim gays in bikini? You know what? I'm sure somewhere there are. Right? So let's talk a little bit more on like the individualized level, right? So like we want this episode to be focused on like ways you can support. So what are some ways to support LGBTQ plus creators? Not just simply by buying their stuff. What else can you do to support LGBTQ plus creators? While we think of that response, have a good rest of your night, Mr. Mekaji. Thank you for joining us.
So obviously sharing LGBTQ plus creators work. So if you see a video or if you see something and you like that creator, sharing that on social media, or just getting the word out about their books or that this creator exists, telling your friends about LGBTQ plus creators, because Donnie, right, he has Feats of Alchemy, which is a LGBTQ plus poetry book. And it is amazing. It is probably one of the best works. But just like telling your friends about LGBTQ plus writers or creators, or actors or films or things that they should be watching. You don't necessarily need to buy those things, but just like telling people about those things and just getting the word out about those things. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like necessarily buy those things, but just like talking about those and sharing the videos and sharing the TikToks about those creators.
So you all simply being here and watching this show is supporting LGBTQ plus creators, is one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Like you watch our show, you come back every Thursday, you share our show, you click like, you subscribe to our channels, you check out our stuff. Like that itself, that engagement supports LGBTQ plus creators. If you're on TikTok and you find an LGBTQ plus person who does a video and they have like maybe 10 followers, you give them a follow, you help boost them. That is supporting the LGBTQ plus community. Supporting comes in, like Ari was just saying, in so many subtle ways that I think people get so caught up in their minds about like the complexity and gravity of it, and they just need to strip it all back and be like, it's actually way more simple than you think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sharing a post on social media that is very affirming of the LGBTQ plus community, that is supporting us, right? Seeing a troll saying something very problematic and then you holding them accountable, of course, bandwidth permitting, that is an act that supports our community. Even, especially if it's like a creator, like, because a lot of LGBTQ plus creators, Ari and I both know this, we deal with a lot of trolls on the internet. Like, I like every day I am probably getting very homophobic comments. And I've learned to filter them out. I used to respond to all of them because I was petty and loved to argue. But was that always healthy for my mental well being?
I don't deal with too many anymore because I just block them.
Right. I've gotten to that point too. But like having allies out there to help hold people accountable, that's important. And I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, that's probably one of the biggest problems that we see is that there are a lot of people who, when they see anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric, they just don't really do much. They don't really like engage those people. They don't really like call them out or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like I know like it makes me sad because I see often a lot of LGBTQ plus artists and musicians who really struggle to kind of break through, because not only are we navigating that layer of bigotry that we deal with, but the commercialization of it all too, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because artists are placed under this commercialized pressure. We're like, you have to make money doing this thing.
Oh, Daniel, you want me to be LGBTQ plus Muslim? Well, I'm actually pagan, so that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
I don't think
thanks, Beth.
so. Oh,
Goodness.
the comments tonight have been.
Interesting.
Maybe it's because we did the 9 p.m. time slot tonight. Is 9 p.m. the wild time on the internet?
It's late night for your pleasure.
Oh my goodness. So talking strictly about supporting LGBTQ plus creators, like we were talking about drag early in the episode, right? And I think that drag creators are often creators that, I mean, they're very much misinterpreted, right? And I think that they're not really, I feel like they're very much villainized in the media. And I think that it's time that we kind of switch that narrative around, you know, and work toward calling people out when people are saying some very harmful rhetoric about, the drag community. I mean, case in point, we see a lot of people who are, like, there's this rhetoric where like people are villainizing drag queens or drag performers in general by equating them to being predators, and that's absolutely not the case. Like, heaven forbid a drag story hour exist, right? Where somebody is not getting criticized for that.
Goodness.
Do you remember all those protests that happened where like Proud Boys were going into the libraries?
Oh man, I have dealt with so many Proud Boys in my life. It is ridiculous. I was in Seattle and they were tear gassing protesters, but they were not tear gassing the Proud Boys for allowing them. Like, Proud Boys were gathering and they were people were protesting the Proud Boys for gathering, and they were tear gassing the protesters against the Proud Boys, but not that they weren't tear gassing the Proud Boys.
Surprise, surprise, right?
Yeah.
But
They had like armed, like to the teeth. They had armed like tanks
mm-hmm,
blocking Proud Boys and allowing them to gather
mm-hmm.
in Seattle.
Wild.
I have video of it, and it's so crazy to me that like that that's allowed to happen on a regular basis. That they just like allow them to come in and
Mm-hmm.
they say, "Oh, it's freedom of speech." But really what it is that
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a double standard beyond the
it's double
fells of
standard
Everest.
because
Yeah.
they'll tear gas the protesters.
Do you know what you all can really do to help the LGBTQ plus community? Find ways to help keep us safe, right? Um, I mean, obviously, many of the things we talked about earlier, I think those are valid solutions, right? But like working toward creating safe spaces for us to exist in is sometimes the most basic thing that you can do. Because there are, like, even in a place that purports to be very progressive, like, there are spaces where those in power may not allow that to be a reality for the LGBTQ plus community, right? So, final words to wrap things up.
Keep
Support your
shining, star
local.
shine. Keep shining, star shine. You're doing great.
Keep shining, keeping fabulous, support local LGBTQ plus creators, support Pride, support LGBTQ plus organizations in general, and hold people accountable, right? We love you all. Have a good rest of your night, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.